A second American Revolution is coming. In fact, it's here. And this is going to be like a second founding moment of America. Rome went through many changes. It went through many updates, and I see a similar process happening now. You see, this is not going to be a revolution of muskets and gunpowder. This is going to be a revolution of spirit, community, and destiny. The very things America has completely lost, but is reawakening in the hearts of the young. So let's quickly understand what the American ethos, what the American empire was built on, so we can understand where it's going. So America was built on these 5 core pillars, and one is frontier vitality. You see, the Americans originally were a very pioneering people. There was a freaking open frontier, a new world to expand into, and it created this spirit of aspirational individualism. We get to go run a grand experiment. We get to go explore and adventure and conquer the frontier. Frontier vitality created America. Also, America was founded on this very deep sense of a sacred mission, a belief that life here had a divine purpose, a city upon a hill. There's this great feeling that we were abandoning the oppression of religious and hierarchical institutions of Europe for this grand new American dream. And in fact, that idea still holds some weight in the zeitgeist. Like, there's an American dream, a sacred mission happening here. And obviously there's a great shadow to that sacred mission of conquest and the indigenous peoples, but that's not the point we're talking about right now. We're talking about what's about to happen in America. The third thing America was founded on is actually civic brotherhood, and that small town stakeholding, militias, lodges, and shared duty. You see, these men came over here and they're like, finally, there's a new start. There's a fresh open space. We're going to build a town that gathers around this religious identity or this Freemasonic brotherhood. And we're going to have a militia. We're going to have civic duty. It felt like a small community where everyone knew each other and everyone was fighting for the same American dream. And then there was free association and experimentation. Because America had open spaces, vast open spaces, people could get together to start their own community project, to start their own town, to start their own city, right? Think about that. America was this opportunity to start your own city back in the day. And that's also what the ReTribalize project is. This whole channel, this whole project that we're doing here is dedicated to building the towns and the cities of the future. And I think the new frontier just opened in the most radical way possible. So let's dive into it. If we want to understand where America's going, we need to understand where it's been. So frontiers, this is so important to understand. These men who came over here, they had this feeling of, we're going to go do great freaking things. There was opportunity, there was beauty, there was destiny, and there was a sense that it was so important to go do it. A grand adventure awaited, and this attracted the high potential youths from all over the world. Like, think about sitting in Britain as a peasant or lower middle class, as one of the masses in the 17 and 1800s. If you didn't come to America in that time, you lacked a serious amount of testosterone in your balls. Because, imagine if there was a new nation starting over there, new lands, new towns, religious freedom, this spirit of vitality awakening, and you're like an oppressed peasant who doesn't have religious freedom over here. Dude, you're going to sail across there and go explore the frontier if you have any spirit left in your blood. And this is why a lot of the Brits today are depressed. They're alone. They live in a very dreary atmosphere of totalitarianism. It's because all their best men came to America back in the day. I joke so hard with my British friend who's here that all of his people are emo and depressed today because all their ancestors who had any balls came to America. But it's kind of true in a sense. If there is a frontier, guess who gets attracted to a frontier? The greatest and most talented and ambitious people in the world who didn't have a place within the elite society of the old world. So if you were not an aristocrat in Britain or high up in society and culture in Europe, you probably would have came to America to have a new future, right? So this is kind of what's going to happen again right now because the elite aspirants, I went to an Ivy League school, I have good social skills, I'm building multiple businesses, gathering the most talented young men from across the globe right now to build new towns, to build new projects. And guess what? Everyone I tell this to, they're like, fuck yeah, finally. Because guess what? The institutions, the bureaucracies, the old businesses, they feel suffocating to the young and talented men. They don't want to go into this old guard where boomers occupy all positions of power, where boomers are on the board of every company, they're CEO of everything. All of our presidents are aged with dementia, and the Senate is this tremendously a gerontocracy. The young and talented and ambitious men, what do you think they do when they see this? They're like, fuck that. Let's go build something beautiful. That's what the ReTribalize project is like, yo, back in the day, America burned with vitality. There was a frontier, a sense that life could be larger, freer, and more beautiful. Men could go own land, hold stake in a town, join the militia, start a Freemasonic lodge, and they had the sacred sense of destiny that we're here on God's mission, right? To do something never seen before in the history of humanity and start a noble republic. And today that frontier is gone. Okay, so civic bonds, they have dissolved. Instead of a sacred mission, we get bureaucracy and empty apologies. Instead of self-rule, we get centralization. Towns don't govern themselves anymore. People don't govern themselves. We get politicians no one even likes. And instead of free association, right, we get atomized isolation. In fact, you can't really freely associate anymore because you're not allowed to exclude people based on the basis of anything. And this is why young and sensitive men feel so goddamn restless. In their hearts, they know what's missing. The grand voyage with their comrades, the grand opportunity to build and be a part of something beautiful, be a part of something meaningful and powerful. They want vitality. They want destiny. They want brotherhood, at least the ones of an aristocratic heart. And this is going to revive the founding spirit of America with a new frontier. So when I go through the world and I see like there's nothing that inspiring that I want to join. Like sports teams are cool, startup businesses are cool, but there's nothing really encouraging that I see culture and vitality living in. This is why I think ReTribalize project is going to retake the world. And a ReTribalize project is not just an intentional community. I've lived in many intentional communities in my life, and it's not quite it because it's not inspiring. It's just like, oh, we're going to return to nature and do some farming, and all these hippies get together who kind of freeload off the leader who has a vision but can never enact it because never has enough resources or talent to do anything cool, right? ReTribalize projects... I know I can go off on, passions take me sometimes, my friends. But ReTribalize projects are inspiring projects that unite around dreams to build beauty and greatness once again, not just community. It's about having an ideal, setting an ideal, and filtering the entire world to find the most highly aligned men and women in the world to band together towards a new project of starting a village with your friends that grows something beautiful, right? This is the new frontier because for the first time in human history, my friends, we can use something like the internet. So I have multiple YouTube channels. I speak to a lot of talented people in the world. Those talented people click the link in the description. They get on the phone with me. I do hundreds and hundreds of phone calls every year. I filter them into an online community, and that online community manifests into my best friends in real life. I'm here in Colombia traveling the world, right? With multiple friends from the Men's Academy. My best friends I met through my YouTube channels, and we're about to go rent a house in Tulum next month or in 2 months with 6 to 8 entrepreneurs who are all stoked on the ReTribalize project. Guess what? I'm not alone in doing this. People all over the world are leveraging the internet to create value-based communities online and manifest those into real-life nodes that have the power of a bowling ball down a mountain. This is going to reshape the world. This is going to reshape the fabric of America because who doesn't want to live in a town with their friends? Like everyone wants to do that. My aunt wants to do that. You know, like the most normal people in the world are like, how do we go buy land on the outskirts of a city with some friends, right? I think the ReTribalize project I envision, my own personal one, is very grandiose in its ambition. But nonetheless, like I think everyone wants to be a part of a new founding experiment in America, and that is of decentralization. How can we freely associate with highly aligned people to go buy land and build communities of our own design and experiment, right? This is what America was founded on. radical free association, radical experimentation with religious freedom and freedom of speech. And this is actually what I want to facilitate through this YouTube channel and through the app we're building right now. That's the whole point of what we're doing here, is we're building the ReTribalize.ai app. And it's in the beta version right now, which means it's free if you're an early adopter. So come adopt this app. Come join us. There's a link below. This app is an AI matchmaker that's going to align you with the most highly aligned friends on the planet. You're going to get what I get to do through YouTube. You're going to get access to this, right? This is going to match you with the most highly aligned people who want to start the type of village or community that you also want to start. It aligns you based off vibes and based on vision. And this app is going to facilitate a new emergence, right, of different types of intentional communities, whether that's an entrepreneur hub in a city, whether that's a land project on the outskirts of a city, or whether you want to start a new town and city with me. I'm also on the app, so come join us. I think this is kind of like the shovels for the new gold rush, my friends. So that being said, ReTribalize projects, right? They're going to be deeply embedded in the old social construct and ethos that built America in the first place. This is why we're not a cult. I don't want to be antagonistic to the good things of the past that are beautiful, that are necessary and worked, right? ReTribalize projects blend what worked in the past, wisdom and tradition, with innovation, radical innovation and technology, right? So if you do those two things, I think you have a better shot. And also, I want to start our ReTribalize project in America. So we're going to buy land and literally start a town, right? Like that's the plan. So in order to do this, we need to understand the American social contract, because what I want to do is awaken a deep remembrance inside the American people that we came here to found communities with our people, to gather around a free association of an ideal and build something beautiful with a sense of destiny once again. And what did this create when these men did that back in the day? It created civic brotherhood and self-governance, right? So the Mayflower Compact in 1620, right? This was America's first self-governance contract. Let's understand this quickly. The Pilgrims, these Puritans, they're kind of boring, as Brendan says. We're going to be a lot more fun than the Puritans. We get to update everything at the foundation of America. But the Pilgrims, before they set foot in America, they signed the Mayflower Compact, which was a covenant of self-rule. No king commanded them. No bureaucracy stood above them. They agreed as free men to govern themselves for the sake of survival and destiny. How glorious is that? Imagine if you and all your boys got together and were like, you know what? Fuck the king. Fuck the rule. We're going over there. We're starting a town, and we agree to civic brotherhood, to loyalty to one another, and self-governance. Guess what you would feel in that community? You would feel an enormous sense of stake, like what you're doing matters. There's a meaningful social contract. In fact, that was the first social contract of America. And that's the DNA of America, the backbone. You see, early Americans, they had this strong sense of stakeholding. They owned land. They voted locally. They served in militias. They attended church. They knew their community. And since they were going to pass down that community to their children's children's children, what did they do? They took care of it. Their actions had a lot of meaning. They had a lot of care, right? And this was the idea of a town, right? And this idea of a town, it created a sense of civic duty. People felt deeply bonded to their neighbors and to their town, and therefore they cared, right? And because they cared, they did their best for it. And this idea of civic duty and like bonds to each other, they're both gone today due to centralization and atomization. Instead of small towns with our friends, we live in big cities of soulless strangers, right? Instead of deep connection, we have atomization where it's every man for himself. Like how many friends would you fight and die for right now? Your great-great-great-grandfather had many he would fight and die for, right? So there's a lack of social cohesion that hollowed out civic life. I've made many videos about this. And this has destroyed our republic, and our republic will fall. Mark my words, republics will fall without high sense of social cohesion. This is where ReTribalize projects come in. I'm not trying to I'm not antagonistic to what America was founded on. I just want to update it, right? Let's update it. Let's return to building villages with our friends and new cities and new states, right? That have a deep ethos of free association, of experimentation, of brotherly love, right? Of the founding of the frontier with your boys and your girls, right? Your team. So that's my vision. That's the most inspiring thing I could imagine. And yeah, let's briefly hit on the other points of the foundation of America. We'll go deeper into this in other videos, but obviously free association is foundational to small towns in America, and it's foundational to the ReTribalize project. What free association means is that you can create a community based on whatever ideal you choose and exclude based on that ideal. For instance, for us, I want to exclude based on character and vibes, right? Do you match? Are you aligned with where we're going? The vision of, a glorious new town, right? Are you also aligned with our vibes and our values, and do you display exceptional character? We're going to exclude based on that, because I think it's so important. If you want to build a great community, build it like a great business. How do you build a great business? You hire the best. That's what we're going to do. And that's free association. Guess what? People don't like that. Right? People don't like free association because it means that I can build and start a community based on whatever religion or ideal I choose. And if you don't like that, go somewhere else and start your own based on your ideals and your values and your religion, right? So free association is foundational. We need to bring back this consciousness instead of hating on people who start things that are counter to us, like if community based on art and, aristocratic beauty, or you want to start a vitalist health nut freak camp over there, like whatever you want to do, go do it, as long as you're not imposing on the freedom of other groups. And if we can create a consciousness that is open to free association, promotes free association, and celebrates real diversity, not diversity of individuals, but diversity of groups of people who freely associate based on exclusion, we're going to create a much more flourishing society. So free association creates an atmosphere of experimentation. Imagine if you could, right, found your own city, found your own town with other people who are highly aligned. And then instead of us arguing whether a socialist or a communist or capitalist or Marxist or whatever kind of legislation or policy you want to lead with works best, instead of arguing, it's like, go do it. Like, go start your liberal utopia. Go start your aristocratic utopia. Go start your cosmopolitan utopia. Go start your town based on traditional Christian teaching. Like, go do it. See how it works. I root for you. And all I want to do is spread this consciousness that we can do it. Like, we can go start new villages with our friends. There's nothing stopping us. And this is what I'm dedicating my life to, is how do we start ReTribalize projects for real? And that includes small self-governance, free association, high amounts of filtering, and desire to expand towards an ideal and radical experimentation. If you want to join us in our ReTribalize project, or you want to find the most highly aligned people in the entire world to start your own, we just built the app for it. So you should come join the ReTribalize.ai app. There's a link below. It's free right now while it's in beta version. We're trying to find the best people in the world who want to self-organize and get matched with their best friends who want to start communities together. So come join us. You might get matched with me. You might get matched with our project, or you're going to get matched with other highly aligned people who want to start a project with you. Like, I don't really care what type of intentional community you want to build. What I do care about is that we create a decentralized revolution within mankind. This is the only way to true human flourishing and eudaimonia that we seek. So it all starts at small bands of teams, right? Go find your wolf pack, the people who have the same vision as you and who can march shoulder to shoulder with you. Let's go together, my friends. Let's go start villages with our friends. You can click here for a recent video on how to do that, how to build the economic engine. And what I see, I could be wrong, guys. There's always different modes and thoughts around this, but this video is what I see, and I think it'll be very impactful. And come join the ReTribalize.ai. Peace.